Okay, morning. Yes, first problems with the Hayabusa. Very sluggish turning over. So I thought I checked it the other night, and when I got home from work I had a right old blast getting home. But when I filled up with petrol and went to restart it, there was that hesitation, and then when I got home, turned it off and went to start it again, and it was really sluggish on the turnover. So I checked the battery, and we're 12.5, which isn't really good enough, is it? Is it? As you can see, it was on 12.5, and now I've left the ignition on for a little while, about 10 minutes if that, and we're down to 11.6 already. Just see if I can get a cranking voltage. Shouldn't really go down to 9 cranking. And it should be between 13.5 and 15 for its charging. There you go, 14, 14.1. Let's see if it goes down. There you go, it should stay between 13.5 and 15 while you're, that was 5,000 revs. At 5,000 revs, it was about 13.9, so that's all good. And as you can see, the battery is slowly dying. Put the ignition on, see how quickly that goes now. So I'm fairly sure it's not holding a charge. So I'm going to swap the battery. I've bought a new battery anyway, so I'm going to swap that over. It's exactly the same battery that's on there. And it was 30 odd quid, so. I know when I bought it, Alf's Motorcycle said they would probably put a new battery on it because it doesn't seem like there was any charge in the battery, and I think all they actually did was charge this battery, so perhaps the battery was faulty and I've just been lucky. It has just got me to and fro, and it to be fair, it did get me to and fro work anyway, so it never actually failed me. It was just when I got home it was it was showing about 11.5 volts, which is no good. But as you can see, the charging system seems to be okay. If I can find the plugs easy enough, I'll possibly do a rectifier and stator check. So I'll get that battery out and see if we can find the wires. Right, I've disconnected the battery. I'm going to take that one out, see if I can find any of the wires I need. Okay, so I've taken the tank off, not off. Right, so I've lifted the tank and found the stator wires, which are these ones down here. There's the 3 yellow wires, and this side is the side that's coming up from the stator. Right, so that's the wire with 3 yellow wires going to it, and what we want to check is whether there's continuity from that to earth, because we want to make sure the insulation is intact and it's not grounding out, because that would be bad. So all I've done is set the multimeter to it's not easy for either of us getting there, to continuity. Why does that look upside down on? No, that's all right. So I've set the meter to continuity, and I'm going to stick, this is the wires coming up from the stator, so I'm going to stick the red one in one of them, and then I'm going to stick the other one on the earth lead, and we've got nothing there. Let's try the next one. Next one, we've got nothing there. And finally the bottom one, we've got nothing there. Just make sure these are working. Yes. And now you want to check resistance between the wires. There should be some resistance. It should be, because they complete a circuit. Get in there. So it's continuity, so they're all connected. Now I want to check the ohms resistance, but I'm not sure what scale to go to, so I need to check that first, and then okay, so I wanted to check the ohm resistance, which should be, according to the book, between 0.2 and 0.4, and I was getting a reading of 1, and I've just spoken to a electrician friend of mine, work colleague, and he said to put your leads together, so both my leads are touching each other, and see what you get. And as you can see there, I get 0.6, and then if I check my resistance across the coils, oh, it's so easy. It's not easy letting you see and getting this wire out. Alright, let's stuff that in there. Let's stuff that in there. Right, so I'm getting a reading of, oh, it's 0.9 now. Come on, get in there. Right, so that's reading 0.8, which again, take away my 0.6 of resistance across my own meter anyway, gives me a reading of 0.2, which is within values. So, and then you do this, you've got 3 yellows, so you do it across all coils. There you go, 0.9, and then I'll just swap that one to that one. Check again, 1, oh no, 0.9, so yeah, good. And again, 0.9. So I've got between 0.2 and 0.4 of resistance, because initially I thought 1 is too high, what's the problem with that? But yes, he said put your leads together and see what you've got across your leads, which a lot of the YouTube videos weren't telling me. Don't hold it still. There you go, which is 0.6. 0.6 across my leads. So you need to take that value off. But there you go, my stator is good. Was a little bit worrying because there's a lot of oil around that area, which I can only think is coming up from the stator through the wires, which is as a really good buddy of mine, Stuart, dipshit I used to work with, Stuart, found out that this was a common problem on his ZX12. The oil comes up and burns the connector out or something. But no, my stator's fine. I've put my new battery in. Let's turn you that way. I put my new battery in, and I will just check that across, because the old one gave us a start reading of, I think it was 12.5, which is low. You'd expect more than that. So put that on volts, 20 volt scale. Can you see that? Can you see that? Anyway, let's stick my probes on the battery. There you go. That was charged yesterday, and that's 12.9. That's the better figure. I'd probably hope to see about 13 volts once we're starting to run it on a regular basis. But stator's fine, and as I showed before, it's charging. The charging is good. So here's the book. So regulated voltage should be 13.5 to 15, and it was 14.2 at tick over, and went down to about 13.9, was it, on 5,000 revs. So within the parameters. And our stator core resistance was between 0.2 and 0.4, so we should be all good. Fit the battery, get on with your life. Do I take oh, I know what I should do. Which might help in the running of the bike. Reconnect the stator wires. It's not going to get a lot of charging at all. Again, it's not the bit like that, and then all these cables want, is it all of them or just the big bunch? There's a clip there. Just fold that up to hold them in, and then there's foil insulation everywhere, which is quite cool until you want to do something. Right, so that should be connected. Get my torch out of the way, like that. Point you in there, and then get sure there's more than that. Over there. Where's the other one? Let's get where it goes bang, in it. Oh, we haven't got the nuts and stuff in there. A bit of copper slip on these, I think. Leave that off a minute, I'll give it another check on the charging system. Ah, that's not so good. And if you are clumsy like me, get a telescopic magnet to reach those runaway nuts and bolts. Right, so that's pinched up. I'll just get the tester. And we'll have another look at this. Right, it's on 20 volts. And again, we got 12.9. No, 695, 9695, 9695. You get what I'm saying, innit, blood? Right. Right, so 12.96, engine on. There we go. So 13.9 on charge and right up to 5,000 revs. It was charging between 13.5 and 15. I think it went to 14.1 or 14.2. But charging's good. We've checked the stator. Stator's good. I'm not going to get into the regulator, I don't think. Got a puncture repair kit back, and then that's all plugged in quite nicely. Just double check all that. Right, tank back down, seat back on, cowl back on, booster ready. Hope that helps somebody out. It's taken me a bit of fact finding, but I have discovered my stator's good, and it definitely looked like it was the battery that failed. Time will tell. Anyway, catch you later.